I remember the crisp autumn air brushing against my face as I walked through the revolving doors of El Bernardine, one of Manhattan's most expensive restaurants. The kind of place where menus don't have prices, because the people who dine there never ask. My sister Rebecca picked the place. It was Mom's 60th birthday, but if I'm honest, it felt more like Rebecca's victory parade. She stood at the center of the room like she owned it. Sleek Prada dress, flawless makeup, her husband Trevor beside her in a Tom Ford suit. To the world, she was everything. Wharton MBA, Forbes 30 under 30, vice president at Neural Edge. To our family, she was the golden child. And to me, well, I was the dreamer. The one who still hadn't figured life out. Mark, my older brother, was there too, freshly promoted VP at Goldman Sachs. Even his tie looked expensive. Meanwhile, I wore a 5-year-old blazer from J. Crew and khakis. I could feel their eyes on me, weighing me against their idea of success. They didn't know that for years, I'd chosen to live this way, quietly, simply. Mom sat at the head of the table, smiling gently. She always tried to keep us together. Dad passed when we were kids, and she built her life around making us feel safe. Tonight, she just wanted a peaceful family dinner. But Rebecca had other plans. To Mom, she toasted, raising her glass of Bordeaux, for raising 3 successful children. Her gaze lingered on me, a soft smile, but sharp enough to cut. The kind of look that says 2 out of 3 isn't bad. So, Danny, she asked, voice light but loaded, still doing your little internet thing? I smiled. Yeah, still doing that. Trevor chuckled. Mark joined in, casually adjusting his cufflinks. Man, you should get a real job, he said, like it was friendly advice. Mark, Mom scolded gently. Daniel runs a business. Rebecca waved a hand. Mom, please. If it was real success, we'd see it. I sipped my water and said nothing. No one at that table knew that I was the founder and principal investor of Apex Capital Partners, a micro VC firm managing over $680 million in assets. No one knew that Neural Edge, the company Rebecca bragged about daily, was standing tall partly because of my $152 million investment. They didn't know, because I never told them. They saw the Civic I drove, the tiny apartment in Queens, and assumed I was behind. I let them believe it. For 7 years, I'd let them. Because I wanted to know who loved me for me, not for my bank account. As the appetizers came out, Rebecca leaned closer. If things get tough, Danny, you could always join Neural Edge. Maybe entry level. She said it sweetly, like she was doing me a favor. Everyone laughed. I forced a smile. But deep inside, something shifted. A quiet, firm decision. I picked up my phone under the table and typed a single message to my team. And then I put the phone down and smiled again. The main course arrived, $75 Dover sole for me, lobster thermidor for everyone else. But the real feast was on me. I was the entertainment. Rebecca launched into her usual speech about how she closed multimillion-dollar deals. Trevor talked about high-stakes negotiations like he was narrating a movie trailer. Mark bragged about bonuses and private equity deals. And in between, they threw casual darts at me. You still in that tiny apartment? Ever think about buying real furniture? Crypto. That bubble's over, man. I'd built thick skin over the years. Every jab, every smirk, every dismissive laugh, I'd heard it all. They didn't realize I could buy that restaurant if I wanted. But that wasn't the point. I didn't want to be valued for money. I wanted respect without revealing the zeros behind my name. The tipping point came when Rebecca waved me off from paying. Don't worry about the bill, Danny. We know money's tight. She meant it as a joke. But something about it snapped. I'd been silent for 7 years. But not tonight. Beneath the table, I saw the signal notifications lighting up my phone. Sarah, portfolio manager. James, legal. Patricia, finance. Rebecca bragged about an $8 million client deal, oblivious that the floor beneath her career was starting to crack. The company she worshipped like a shrine was about to lose its anchor investor. Me. 10 minutes later, Rebecca's phone rang. Brad from the board. Her smile faded. She excused herself. Then Trevor's phone rang. Marks. The mood changed. Fast. Rebecca returned pale, eyes wide. The largest investor just pulled out. 152 million. Gone. No warning. Trevor muttered something about the SEC filings. Mark checked Twitter. Headlines were already spreading. Neuralege loses anchor investor, Series D at risk. I calmly sipped my water. Mom looked at me, concerned. Daniel, do you know anything about this? I shrugged. I might. Rebecca trembled. This could destroy everything. Do you realize what this means? She didn't know yet. But she was about to. For the first time in years. I had their full attention. I don't need to call Apex, I said softly. I'm Apex. The words landed like a thunderclap. Rebecca blinked, confused. What? I tapped my phone. A moment later, the restaurant's digital screen, the same one that had displayed Mom's birthday slideshow, lit up with Apex Capital's investor dashboard. Apex Capital Partners. Principal investor. Daniel Robert Chin. Assets under management. $680,447,332. Recent transaction. Neuralege liquidation. $152 million. Trevor stumbled back. Mark's jaw went slack. Rebecca whispered, "That's your name." I nodded. "The $1,200 I borrowed from you. That was a test. To see how you'd treat me when you thought I had nothing." She stared at me, trembling. You're the investor. Since Series A. From the beginning, I said. I believed in Neuralege before the world did. You've spent years calling my work fake, while I quietly funded yours. I watched the realization wash over their faces like a storm surge. Trevor ran his hand through his hair, muttering about SEC filings. Mark scrolled through old press releases. Rebecca just sat down slowly, eyes glossy with tears. "All this time," she whispered. "You let me talk down to you." "I gave you chances," I said gently. "I invited you to my office. I tried to explain what I do. You didn't want to listen. Because you thought success only looks like Prada and corner offices." Mom reached for my hand, tears in her eyes, not from shock at my wealth, but pride. "You carried this alone, Daniel." Rebecca covered her face. "I'm sorry. I was cruel. I judged you for nothing." "It wasn't nothing," I said. "It was the foundation of the company you're standing on." The room was silent except for the hum of the AC and the distant chatter of other guests who had no idea that a billion-dollar family bombshell had just detonated at table 6. The night ended differently than it began. No more laughter. No more mockery. Just quiet, the kind that changes everything. Rebecca looked at me across the table. Her voice was small. "Can you reinvest? Please. We can fix this." I shook my head gently. "No. Neuralege is strong. You'll rebuild. But this time, it'll be yours, not propped up by someone you thought was beneath you." Trevor was silent now. Mark apologized sincerely. Mom squeezed my hand like she'd always known there was more to me. And maybe, in her way, she had. I chose to live simply, I told them. Not because I had to, but because I wanted to stay grounded. I wanted to know who valued me, not my money. A few weeks later, Neuralege secured new investors. Smaller round, but more solid. Rebecca stepped down as VP for a while, to rebuild from scratch. She and I talked often after that night. Real conversations, without the ego. Mark started investing more wisely. Trevor offered pro bono legal support for Apex. Mom hosted simple Sunday dinners again, like when we were kids. And me. I expanded Apex quietly, still living in Queens, still driving my Civic. I've learned that real wealth isn't about how loud you can shout your success, it's about how quietly you can hold it without needing applause.